All right, everybody, welcome back. Today I got for you guys Kizer. So let's talk blades, everybody. That's what we're into. So, Kizer knives. You guys know how I feel about Kizer. I like them. I do. I don't think there's a Kizer knife that I own that I do not like. And that's saying a lot, because sometimes when it comes to certain Chinese brand companies, they don't really, I don't know, they've been doing a lot better, like civivi and we knives. Like those are good knives, they really are. But because of just how I grew up, I'm always used to a 4-inch knife. It just seems like the more popular knives now are 3.5 inches or under. um, to me, if I'm going to be spending good money on a knife, it needs to be a knife that I know is going to have a decent amount of blade on there. That's just my thought process. I don't want to spend, $100 or even $200 on a knife that's got a 2 or 3 inch blade on it. I just think that's kind of, at that point, just use a box cutter. And that's my logic. I just don't understand why you want to spend such good money on such a tiny knife. I know I've done that before in the past. I'm not trying to sound any other way. It's just I don't know, I favor the bigger knives. And I say that because this is a bigger knife. This model is the Begleiter XL, okay? So from Kizer, I love their Begleiter. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Their original Begleiter was really nice, and I carried that for a couple of days. But it was too flashy of a knife. It just looked way too pretty. It looked way too pocket jewelry to carry. But generic box, which I'm not used to. I'm used to Kizer's box, and then you get like the little, Velcro pouch that it usually comes in. But this time it doesn't come in that. It comes in a plastic tray in a box with your paperwork and your microfiber cloth that's in there. If you guys want to see what that's going to be, it's just your basic Kizer stuff, right? Warranty information and care stuff. So it's nothing huge on that. And then, of course, you get the knife. It's down here, but I just wanted to show you guys what it comes in. It comes in a plastic sleeve, so it does not come in a Velcro pouch like I'm used to. And it comes with some spare hardware. So it comes with some screws with a little bit of Loctite, blue Loctite on them, which I think is really interesting. I don't know why they give us spare screws unless they're worried that the screws on this one is gonna fall apart or something. I don't know. That kind of rubbed me a little weird. So, but hey, extra hardware. Can't complain about that, right? So, enough with the trash. We need to get to the actual item. So here it is. Begleiter XL. Please forgive me if my voice sounds a little weird. I've been going through some stuff lately, so just kind of bear with me. This is a big knife. All right, you got a 4-inch blade on there, and it just looks like the original Begleiter, just bigger. And it has micarta. And the micarta has a little bit of wear. I'm going to be honest with you, that is from my hands. Okay, it's not going to come like this. It's going to come a little bit lighter in color. But I've been playing with it a lot. And you guys know how I like the civivi Elementum and its other predecessor, which was also a button lock opening knife. But the only thing was, with those knives, you had to press the button, or at least with the one that I really like, you press the button and then you have to swing the knife open and let go of the button to lock the blade, and then vice versa. You do the opposite to close the blade. You disengage the lock, which is the button, and then you swing the knife closed. Same thing here, but you got a flipper. So it's kind of like the Elementum, where you do have the flipper and the button lock. And I gotta tell you, I loved playing with that knife. And the only reason why I didn't want to carry it very often was because I think it turns into a gravity knife, because there's no other means of opening that knife if it doesn't have a flipper and it just has a button. So I just didn't want to risk carrying something like that. So I just keep it here. But this right here falls in the category of legal, because you got 2 different ways of opening. Well, technically 3. You got the flipper here, you got the thumb stud here, and of course you also got the classic button lock right there. So open spine construction. So it's got the pillars right there, and yeah, you are able to clean this thing really well without having to take the knife apart unless, you know, there's something up with the pivot or you need to oil the pivot or what have you. It is milled out inside there if you can't already see the holes. Ooh, I just touched the blade. If you can't already see the holes in there, it is milled out for weight reduction, which is great. You get a swappable pocket clip, but it's only tip-up carry. I don't know if that's a huge problem. You got your lanyard bit right there for you lanyard people. And my card on this feels nice. At first, it does feel slightly blocky, but it does fill the hand pretty well. So it doesn't feel too thin, and it definitely doesn't feel weak. It feels pretty sturdy holding this thing. You got jimping on the spine right here, but a little bit less than halfway, so you can actually put your thumb where you need to rest it. So I really, really enjoy that. I have to say that this is probably one of the funnest knives I've ever had. There's stuff on my nails. I was peeling an orange earlier, and I got I washed my hands, and I still got stuff in my nails. Forgive me. There was a lot of, I gotta tell you, there was a lot of lock stick, button stick when I first got it. When I was playing around with it, I was using it as just the button lock, and I can feel this thing. It's smoother now, but when I got it, it was like a very audible click when you press the button down. And I don't know if that's due to the knife just being new, and you know, there's just some bits that you need to work in, because it was so, I don't know, it felt really weird. It felt like it needed to be worked in. So I played around with it a lot, and I'm so used to doing this because I think there's going to be a liner there, but there's not. There's no other lock. It's just the button. So that makes it really convenient. What I really like about this also is that the flipper is very minimal. It's non-obtrusive. It's not sticking out. It's not this humongous, you know, ugly fin that's sticking. It's very low profile, and I very much like that. It's got minimal jimping, but just enough to get grip on there. And just to let you know, the detent on this thing is fantastic. It's not overly aggressive to where you feel your fingers slipping off of the flipper, because sometimes when detents are really strong, you got to sit there and really push it. This one's not like that. It's very smooth. See, I just did it again. I thought there was a liner there. So weird. That stop pin makes this so much nicer because it lines everything up and it feels nice and strong. There's no blade play up, down, left, or right. This thing is just fantastic. So you got that bead blast finished right there on the blade. You got the Kizer stamp with that, I don't even know, it looks like a plant to me. And then of course it is, I don't know if you can see it, 154 cm, and you got the serial number right there. Flip it around, you got the Begleiter XL right there, and then you got AZO. Now, I think that's the designer's stamp. Pretty sure. Really, really like it. Deep carry pocket clip, yes. So this thing disappears in the pocket. You only have just a little bit of knife sticking out of your pocket. Just a little bit. So it's not a whole lot. It very much disappears. You got that drop point design with a little bit of these grind out swedges at the top that just really make this thing look very much spear point. But the drop point is pretty nice on this knife. I really do like it. I like how you got the belly up here, so it makes it nice and big, but then it tapers to a little bit smaller. It's just nice. It's really, really nice. Now, I forget what this color is. I think this is like a mixture between green and tan. I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me. It's really nice. It's really nice, and especially when you put your own hand oils on it. What I love about micarta is that it gives the knife character. It basically shows that it's your knife, you know, and eventually it'll darken, and it gives it character to the point where it's just nice. You don't have to sit there and feel obligated to clean it because it just doesn't, you know, to me anyways. That's why I like the micarta. And like I said, it's not very overly aggressive, but it does have grip. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense, but it just you can feel it. It doesn't feel slippery in the hand on some things that are like, oh yeah, it's a G10, but when you get it in your hand, you're like, there's no traction there. You know, this doesn't need it. You can feel there's a little bit of traction on this side, but I think that varies from knife to knife of the same model. But when I hold it in my hand, I feel pretty secure there. So it just feels good. What I really like about this is that because of this being low profile, when I go to this thumb stud and I click it open, my the flipper is not hitting my finger at all. I don't know, that's another thing I really like about this knife. So if I get tired of using the flipper, I can always go to thumb stud and I can just open it like so. And it feels really good because of the low profile on the flipper side. So that is a fantastic combination. It makes the thumb stud make sense on this knife. Certain knives that have thumb studs and flippers, it makes it really difficult sometimes to get used to the fact that you kind of have to have your finger away when you're using the thumb stud. I've noticed that certain knives that have a really huge flipper and a thumb stud, you go for the thumb stud and you feel the flipper kind of hit your finger and it slows down the blade as it opens up. At least to me, in my way of opening knives. I don't know, some people will just be like, no, it doesn't do that to me. Well, okay, well, calm down, dude. This is just through my experience. I really like how they made this. It just makes sense to me. And it feels great when I open it with the thumb stud too. So if I get tired of using the flipper, the thumb stud doesn't get me to where I'm like, now I got to go back to using the flipper because the dang thing keeps hitting my finger. No, it feels good. It feels like it makes sense. So this is a win. They did a good job. They made a 4-inch Begleiter with a beautiful design with micarta, a button lock, a flipper, and thumb studs. That all of it just correlates very well with each other is what I'm trying to say. This is probably, and this finds my pocket a lot. I've been carrying it since I got it, and I am not disappointed in this knife in the very least. When I got it, though, I think the only thing that kind of troubled me was if you can see it, the blade's kind of hugging that side, but it's not rubbing. Nothing's rubbing. So if I really needed to, I could just take a tool and kind of, I don't know, tighten or loosen the pivot and see where that takes me in centering. Other than that, it's a fantastic knife. It feels good. So if you don't want to use the flipper or the thumb stud and you want to use just the button lock, I just hit the table. You can do that, and it feels like I'm messing around with one of Civivi's knives, just bigger. And it's a lot of fun. I've been clicking it. I had a friend over once recently, and I was playing with this knife, and he's like, man, you really like playing with that thing. I'm like, yeah, this is a great knife. I showed it to him. He was looking at it. He goes, man, I need to get me one. The only thing, though, like I said, with a knife like this, with its premium steel, or to me it's premium steel, it's better than Sandvik steel, a couple other steels. 154 cm is really good. I'm actually really familiar with 154 cm. I think one of my first ballast songs was 154 cm, and I just really enjoyed it. So, I don't know. With this kind of blade steel and this kind of materials, this knife comes in at, I think, at $95 on Blade HQ, 95 and change. Yeah, it's just under $100. So this is kind of one that you might want to consider if it's a little bit over your price range. Might break the bank depending on, if you're a budget knife kind of guy. This isn't exactly the cheapest knife, but for the materials, it's not exactly the most expensive either. And I think that's okay. I think the value of this knife, if this was an $80 knife, I would see it more realistically. 95, that's still acceptable. If this thing were to go over $100, I would still get it, but I would be kind of disappointed in spending that kind of money. I guess it just depends. It depends on the person. To me, it didn't bother me too much. It is a little bit of an expensive knife, but it doesn't break the bank like I know some do. It's not like you're buying a Benchmade or a Spyderco or any of those bigger brand names. Then I can see why this would be a little bit, like, oh man, that's way too much. But yeah, this is a good knife. So I'm gonna get into the specs. I'm sorry. I was really excited. This thing kind of overexceeded my expectations, which is why I was talking so much. I don't know if you guys caught that. All right, so you're looking at, all right, it's not bad, 5.05 ounces. So it's not a heavy knife by any means, but it's also not a very light knife. But I guess each to his own. Some people might like that, some people might not. It has a very solid construction, and yes, it does have a bit of weight to it. So it makes sense for a knife this size, and it doesn't feel bad at all to me at all. I freaking love doing that. It just, it's so great, so much fun. Anyway. Sorry, I'm geeking out here. So we'll get to the length of the knife. So the blade is at 4 inches with an overall, right at 9 inches on the dot. So you're looking at 9 inches total, 4-inch blade. The cutting edge is about 3 3/4, it looks like. Let's put it right at 3 3/4. So, I don't know, to me, this is a normal size knife. To some, it might be a little too big. Some people don't like carrying 4-inch knives. I don't know why. But to me, this gives you a lot of options as far as cutting. So if you need to cut something open, or I don't know, I'm just so used to using a 4-inch blade that seeing anything smaller just kind of seems... I mean, it would make sense if it matches whatever task you're trying to do and you don't need such a big knife, all right? And that can fall into several categories I'm not going to get into. But this thing is great for EDC because it has length, it has all the criterias of opening, and it's a really good knife. You can swap the pocket clip. I don't know, this thing has perfect EDC written all over it, at least for me anyways. I very, very much like it. It fits all my criteria. I'm kind of curious. There was another one. It comes in another flavor of color. I should say it comes in another color. Comes in another flavor. Might as well, right? It comes in another color. You get a black blade and I think a different colored micarta. But I think that's the only two that I'm very familiar with anyways. And everything else, they're all just smaller blades, so this Kizer one just got my attention. You got ball bearings in the pivot there. It's really, really fall shut. I mean, that's just nice. So if you want something that you can play with and fidget with and just feel good about, this to me was a home run. I really very much enjoy how this knife is. I don't know how well the pocket clip's going to hold up. I haven't had any problems with it so far. That is a lot of space there, so it goes in and out of the pocket pretty well, and it disappears very well. So, I don't know. It just, it's doing it for me anyway. So, I'm done yapping. If you guys are interested in this Kizer Begleiter XL, I wouldn't hesitate on it. This is one that I would suggest any knife person get. My dog just hit the table. Come on, Winston. Come on, dude. He's been acting really strange lately. He's just been so excited. I don't know why. But yeah, this is a good knife. If I had to buy it again, I would. This is EDC perfection to me. Yeah. So go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new stuff. In these craziest of times, everybody, please be kind, be safe, carry responsibly, and I'll see you all awesome people in the next video.